He can tell you, as well as you can tell him, how long it took to complete the deed, what doses there were, what intervals, what signs of gradual decay upon mind and body, what distempered fancies were produced, what observable changes, what physical pain. He can tell you, as well as you can tell him, that all this was recorded day by day as a lesson of experience for future service. He can tell you, better than you can tell him, where that journal is at this moment. Slinkton stopped the action of his foot and looked at Beckwith. "No," said the latter, as if answering a question from him. "Not in the drawer of the writing desk that opens with a spring. It is not there, and it never will be there again." "Then you are a thief," said Slinkton, without any change whatever in the inflexible purpose, which it was quite terrific even to me to contemplate, and from the power of which I had always felt convinced it was impossible for this wretch to escape. Beckwith returned. "And I am your niece's shadow too." With an imprecation, Slinkton put his hand to his head, tore out some hair, and flung it to the ground. It was the end of the smooth walk. He destroyed it in the action, and it will soon be seen that his use for it was past. Beckwith went on. "Whenever you left here, I left here. Although I understood that you found it necessary to pause in the completion of that purpose, to avert suspicion, still I watched you close with that poor confiding girl. When I had the diary, and I could read it word by word, it was only about the night before your last visit to Scarborough. You remember the night? You slept with a small flat vial tied to your wrist. I sent to Mr. Sampson, who was kept out of view. This is Mr. Sampson's trusty servant standing by the door. We three saved your niece among us." Slinkton looked at us all, took an uncertain step or two from the place where he had stood, returned to it, and glanced about him in a very curious way, as one of the meaner reptiles might, looking for a hole to hide in. I noticed at the same time that a singular change took place in the figure of the man, as if it collapsed within his clothes, and they consequently became ill-shapen and ill-fitting. "You shall know," said Beckwith, "for I hope the knowledge will be bitter and terrible to you, why you have been pursued by one man, and why, when the whole interest that Mr. Sampson represents would have expended any money in hunting you down, you have been tracked to death at a single individual's charge. I hear you have had the name of Meltham on your lips sometimes?" I saw, in addition to those other changes, a sudden stoppage came upon his breathing. "When you send the sweet girl whom you murdered, you know with what artfully made-out surroundings and probabilities you sent her, to Meltham's office, before taking her abroad to originate the transaction that doomed her to the grave, it fell to Meltham's lot to see her, and to speak with her. It did not fall to his lot to save her, though I knew he would freely give up his own life to have done it. He admired her, I would say, he loved her deeply, if I thought it possible that you could understand the word. When she was sacrificed, he was thoroughly assured of your guilt. Having lost her, he had but one object left in life, and that was to avenge her and destroy you." I saw the villain's nostril rise and fall convulsively, but I saw no moving at his mouth. "That man Meltham," Beckwith steadily pursued, "was as absolutely certain that you could never elude him in this world, if he devoted himself to your destruction with his utmost fidelity and earnestness, and if he divided the sacred duty with no other duty in life, as he was certain that in achieving it he would be a poor instrument in the hand of Providence, and would do well before heaven in striking you out from among living men. I am that man, and I thank God that I have done my work." If Slinkton had been running for his life from swift-footed savages a dozen miles, He could not have shown more empathetic signs of being oppressed at heart and laboring for breath than he showed now, when he looked at the pursuer who had so relentlessly hunted him down. "You never saw me under my right name before. You see me under my right name now. You shall see me once again in the body when you are tried for your life. You shall see me once again in the spirit, when the cord is around your neck and the crowds are crying against you." When Meltham had spoken these last words, the miscreant suddenly turned his face away, and seemed to strike his mouth with his open hand. At the same instant the room was filled with a new and powerful odour, and almost at the same time he broke into a crooked run, leap, start, I have no name for the spasm, and fell with a dull weight that shook the heavy old doors and windows in their frames. That was a fitting end of him. When we saw that he was dead, we drew away from the room, and Meltham, giving me his hand, said with a weary air, "I have no more work on earth, my friend, but I shall see her again elsewhere." It was in vain that I tried to rally him. He might have saved her, he said. He had not saved her, and he reproached himself. He had lost her, and he was broken-hearted. "The purpose that has sustained me over, Samson, and there is nothing now to hold to life. I am not fit for life. I am weak and spiritless. I have no hope and no object. My day is done." In truth, I could hardly have believed that a broken man who then spoke to me was the man who had so strongly and so differently impressed me when his purpose was before him. I used such entreaties with him as I could, but he still said, and always said, in a patient, undemonstrative way, nothing could avail him. He was broken-hearted. He died early in the next spring. He was buried by the side of the poor young lady for whom he had cherished those tender and unhappy regrets, and he left all he had to her sister. She lived to be a happy wife and mother. She married my sister's son, who succeeded poor Meltham. She is living now, and her children ride about the garden on my walking stick when I go to see her. End of Hunted Down by Charles Dickens.